So this barn is one of 3 buildings that come alongside the dwelling house. Although it's marked on the 1840 tithe plan, it's probably the latest of the 3, and you can tell that from the structural condition of it, which is much greater than the dwelling and the other 2 barns. You can see one to your left and one right at the back there behind the cement mixer. So this barn is what we are hoping to complete first. It's got some really nice features, which I was quite surprised at. We've managed to clear out the inside. We're just waiting on building control to replace the lintels to make it a bit safer. And life up here would have been really difficult. It would have been, there were originally another, I think, further 28 acres on the other side of the road that came alongside the 2 fields that we have, but it would have been really, really tough living. And yet at some point, someone has put these beautiful little white pebbles into the sill of the old door for throwing out the grain sacks. And another thing that I particularly love about this building, it is my favourite building, is on what we've made our outhouse and our store, which stores all our bits and bobs, is that this building is being externally faced with quartz. Now there's quite a lot of quartz in the area, but that someone would take the time to face it with white quartz, which is obviously an aesthetic choice, I think it's a rather lovely thing. So on the inside of this barn, we've got something else that I love. Can you tell I really love this building? Well, Mark does as well, but as he's not here, I'm speaking on his behalf. Are these really nice slate troughs. So this part of the barn's split into 2 halves, strangely divided by a wall with a window, not a door. And this half is thought to have been where the cattle would have been, and they are probably a bit smaller than they are in these days. And the roof is actually lower than it is on the other side, and this channel here would have picked up their muck. And I'm not sure how old these troughs are, but they're really beautiful. We are going to keep them. I'm not entirely sure what for, possibly toy storage. But that's the first half of the barn. And check out that view. What a day. Absolutely stunning. The second half of the barn, which this was all filled with many, many years of slate and wood and rotten wood, has a really lovely cobble floor. Which I'm sure you'll all agree is quite a beautiful thing. And this is where the horses would have been, and the ceiling height is just a bit higher than the other side, so obviously the horses would have been taller, and their muck would have been easier to clear out, so there was no need for a deep channel like the other side. We'd like to keep these cobbles, obviously they've got to be taken up, but we thought about relaying them and then covering them with an epoxy resin, but it looks like that's going to be a bit too pricey and our budget is fairly shoestring. However, they will be relayed outside in a path or a patio. Rather a lovely thing. And as you can see, we are currently working on pointing the building, which is coming along really well. There's a heck of a lot of pointing to do, so that's where we're at with this project at the minute.